Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a drawing that's going to require one of the new tools we're going to be using, or a compass. Compass allows us to do circles and arcs, radiuses, fillets, anything round. So we're going to be learning how to use this tool on today's drawing, which will be the clamp. This is the 3D printed version of the clamp I did create. We are not going to be drawing this object as a three-dimensional view or as a multi-view. We're just going to be doing a single front view, as you see right here on camera, of this object today. But I did 3D print it because we do have some hidden lines and center lines on this view that hopefully, by looking at the 3D version, will give us a little bit more insight as to what the clamp should be and why. So let's go ahead and get started. So here is the front view, two-dimensional, of the clamp object. As mentioned before, we have the clamp object right here, 3D printed. So if we kind of hold this up as a front view, that's kind of what you're going to be seeing, with some hidden lines and center lines on that object. But we have the whole object here to look at to see there's 4 holes going through this part. There's some different radiuses, and there's obviously some thicknesses to the part here. So the finished product is going to look similar to this on your blank paper. However, we will be centering this object on the paper. Your dimensions for centering is 7 inches left to right and 4 inches from top to bottom. So if you're not sure how to center this single view within the title block and border, you can go back to the puzzle drawing and take a look at how we centered the puzzle. And this is very similar to centering that drawing. So your dimensions again are 7 by 4, centered within that space. We have some different symbols here. We have this symbol right here and this symbol right there. This is referring to a diameter or a full circle, so the distance from here to there is going to be a 1/2 inch. And then we have this, which is a radius, which is a 1/2 a circle, so the distance from here to the center of the circle is going to be that 2 1/4. So you have to make sure you're paying attention to what type of symbol for your drawing. We also have TYP, or typical, on here a couple of different places, basically referring to a dimension that's going to be there multiple times. So the distance from the edge to the center of this hole is 1 1/2 inches. Typical, meaning from this edge to center a hole, is also 1 1/2. We have 3 main large arcs on this drawing. These 2 here and this big one out there. These 2 inner arcs are going off of this circle right here, this center point. And then this bigger one is going off of that center point. And if you're ever not sure, theoretically your leader line points to the center. So if you just line them up, you should be able to see where they are pointing to, for which center point. So we're going to be using our compass on those different center points to get those big arcs. So we're starting out with a blank title block and border again, called clamp. And this is going to be our 6th sketching drawing, or SK-06. So that's what we have there. And I've already gone through and centered this clamp on a title block. So I've already done the math for the distance horizontal gap and the distance in the vertical gap. And this is where the clamp is going to fit. So with that, I'm going to start by drawing the bottom rectangle, which happens to be 3/4 of an inch up. I'm going to be doing a lot more construction lines this drawing before I darken stuff in, whereas in some of the past drawings I've darkened stuff in as I go. It's up to you how you handle that. But that line right there is going to represent this rectangle right here all the way across. Then we can go ahead and start doing the big arc. The big arc is going to be off of this upper center point. So we have to find that center point to set up our compass for our first arc. Well, that's halfway through, so there should be 7 inches total. So at 3.5 inches is going to be the center point of the big arc. So for our compass, we want to set it up for the radius of that circle, and that happens to be 3.5 inches. So I'm going to set my ruler with the point on 0. I'm going to open this up to 3.5 on the ruler. Then I'm going to put the pointy end on the dot, and it should line up both sides. If it doesn't, I can always do a little adjustment. It looks like it's pretty close. I'm going to open it up just a hair. Make sure my point isn't moving on me. And I'm going to start out with a construction line. There's our first arc. Okay, we got 2 more lower arcs down here at the bottom, 3.5 inches. Find that point. And the first arc there is 2.25. So I'm going to come in. Two and a quarter on the bottom one. Gotta make sure it stays on that point. Everything wants to move, partially because I'm on a glass table. If you're on a kitchen table, this might be a lot easier. Ah. Alright, I'm going to move my paper because I think that'll be easier than trying to move my compass. Okay. And then the smaller arc is a radius of 1.5 inches. Stuff out of the way so that I can spin my paper again. Ideally, you're not spinning the paper, but my table, the glass desk I'm using, just doesn't have any grip on it. So that's the use of the compass so far, 3 main big areas that we're going to be drawing, and for the most part we've got most of our lines on here except for the 4 circles. So we can come in now that we've got those lines and start darkening in what we're going to keep. Now on this drawing, because I got arcs and because the compass is a pencil, I'm going to try to do my object lines with pencil this time. I know in the past mine have been with a felt tip black marker, so they stand out. But here I'm going to just draw real dark so that you can hopefully see a difference in those sets of lines. Now when I set up my original center box, it was 4 inches tall. Yes, the clamp arc goes higher than 4 inches, but that line stops at 4. So I've already got that line up here, which is convenient. And now I got to go to the compass and use object lines Now I am going to go over this twice myself, only because I want to make sure that I'm dark enough for the video camera. You will only be going over stuff once. And then we said the other one was at 2 1/4. And then the big arc is at 3.5 again. Three and a half inches from that upper point, not the lower one. And I need to stop with the dark line when I hit up there. Then up here is going to be a center line, just kind of showing that that arc is continuous, is all that it's doing. So we're going to have kind of like that up there. Just dashed, not touching it, moving in those spaces. Now, when I was doing my object lines, I did get a little bit excess down here. And I want to erase those just because they are too dark. But if I just use an eraser normally, I might erase some of the stuff I want to keep. So I'm actually going to take a blank piece of paper and I'm going to cover up what I want to keep. And then when I erase, I'm only erasing what I want to get rid of so that the intersection actually stays there. I can do the same thing down here by covering up the line, erasing a little bit of extra, and it allows me to do a nice clean mix up. Now my compass moved up here too. I got a little chunk. If I use that paper trick, I can get rid of some of those extra lines there. Alright, these lines here are center lines as well with your plus signs for the crosshairs. So I'll go ahead and set up my ruler for that. And up here. And then I do want to put the pluses in. Showing that that's the center point for those various arcs. So far that's easy stuff. We've used our compass and our ruler to come up with those, and right now we're basically seeing all the visible stuff except for the 4 holes. Well, 2 of those holes are going to be visible right here, and then 2 of those holes are going through the part, but we're going to see them from this view, so they're going to look like hidden lines, just like the drawing shows us. So let's find the upper ones where they are. So 2¼ inches up from each side. And then 1½ inches in. So 1½, 2¼ 1½. So that's basically the center points of those circles, and those are 1/2 inch diameter. So I'm going to set up my compass for 1/4 inch, which is, we'll see if it goes that small. Yep. So that right there is 1/4 inch on the compass. So again, because I got a glass table, I'm going to spin the paper. I'm putting my point right there. Do it again over here. Now my lead needs to move out just a little bit, so I'm actually going to loosen up. Pull my lead out a little bit just so that it lines up with the point on the other side. That looks better. Alright, so then we got our 2 plus signs that we want to draw. I need to make a 1.5 inch mark over here so I can set up my ruler and get my vertical plus sign. Kind of showing where the center point of that circle is, just like the crosshairs would on a video game would show. It's showing the center point of where that circle is. Okay, according to the handout, we also have some hidden lines and center lines right here, and this is going to be the other 2 circles. This is a 1/2 inch diameter times 4. So there's 4 of these holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are just drilled this way through the part, as you can see right here. So for us to see that from this view, it's actually going to have some hidden lines and some center lines going right through that front surface. So the distance from here to there is a 1/2 inch. And the center is 3/4 of an inch from the edge, typical both sides. Well, this is all straight lines, so that makes it easy. So I'm going to come over 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, top and bottom. And a center line extends past the object, just like the alphabet lines taught us from way back in the class. A center line has a single dash in the middle and it extends past the object. Mine's not very uniform, but that would be a center line. So now the hidden lines are going to be each edge of the hole, which is a 1/4 inch in each direction of that, which will give us a 1/2 inch total. So 1/4, 1/4. 1/4, 1/4. I come all the way up to the top. Make my marks so I can get my ruler lined up. And now I'm going to try to be uniform with my hidden lines. I'm going to go 1/8 inch line, 1/8 inch gap. And that is our finished one-dimensional view, 2D view of the clamp, the front view only of our clamp part. So again, we're not drawing the top view or the right side view of this object. We're just drawing the front view of the clamp, as you can kind of see here, with our hidden lines and center lines. It matches our handout with the exception that it's actually centered on the paper. The handout is not centered. We're drawing it full scale, 1 inch equals 1 inch again, just like we've been doing on most of our other drawings. So today we got to use our compass for the first time on one of our drawings to draw a item that had some curved lines on it, some circles, some arcs, some stuff like that. We're doing a single view of that for the clamp. Hopefully this tutorial video is going to assist you or has helped you to complete this assignment. If not, please reach out and ask any questions. Good luck with the clamp.